I want to just go over that quiz y'all took on Friday. So here we go. Let me pull it up. All right, here it is. So find the GCF of 75x squared y and 45xy squared. So the first thing you had to do was list out the factors of each of the terms. So let me do this. Let's just kind of do the quiz. All right, or let's do a couple of them. All right, here we go. Can y'all see my whiteboard? Okay. Thank you. So 75x squared y and 45xy squared. So list out the factors of 75. That would be 3 times 5 times 5 when you factored it. X squared is x times x, and then times y, 45. That would be 3 times 3 times 5 times x times y, and then circle like factors. Therefore, your GCF should have been 15xy. If you have your you have your quiz out right now, you can check that too. All right, number 2. Katie, what was the first thing you had to do for number 2?
List out the prime factors.
Yes. Is there a greatest common factor between these two? And if so, what is it?
No.
What is common between all 3 of these things that I could factor out before I actually factor out a trinomial?
A and B.
Just an A and a B. So I can factor out that. Oh, here comes Harley. So I can factor out my A and my B because they're common between each other. All right, I think Harley's coming, which means, let me get my eraser here. Harley, we're just going over the quiz on Friday. So if I can pull out or factor out an A and a B from each term, let's see what I'm going to be left with. So A cubed B over AB, I'm going to be left with A squared, B over B, plus, let's see, A squared over A, that's A, B squared over B, that's B, plus A over A, and then B cubed over B, that's B squared. Now I can factor this trinomial, A squared plus AB plus B squared. Start out with A and A. All right, and then what are factors of B squared? Well, that would just be B times B. So B times B needs to be a positive because, again, I need to get that as well too. So here is my final answer right here. Or if you simplified it and did that, that would be fine as well. Any questions on number 2? So you always want to ask yourself, okay, is there anything I can factor out of my terms first before I factor? Do so, which is what you'll do for number 5 as well. All right, number 3, this one, you didn't have to factor anything out, so you had to list out your terms for 24, or excuse me, your factors of 24, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. So which set of factors are we going to use? Well, let's see here. The only ones that I can combine together to get me that 11 would be 8. Now I got to figure out my signs. When I'm multiplying, they have to be positive 24. When I subtract them, they have to be negative 11x. So they both have to be negative. Negative 3 minus 8 is negative 11. Negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 8 is positive 24. All right, same here. List out your factors of 72. So that's 2 and 36. 3 and 21. Nope. 24. 4 and 18. 5, 6 and 12. 7 and 8 and 9. Lots of them to choose from. For number 4, but which ones added together will get me, or subtracted, will get me 18. Let's see, 24 minus 3, that's 21. 18 plus 4, nope. Let's see, this set added together will get me 72. Let's try that one. Oh, excuse me. This set added together will get me 18. Multiplied will get me positive 72. So there is your answer there. Number 5, we wanted to, there's a common factor I can factor out of each term, and that would be 2. So let's pull 2 out. I'm left with z squared minus 8z minus 20. Now let's factor this trinomial. List my factors of 20, 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. Okay, which ones combined will get me an 8? That would be 10 and 2. What should my signs be though? Well, that has to be a negative 10 and then add 2 to that to get the negative 8. Negative 10 times 2 is negative 20. And don't forget the 2 that you factored out at the beginning. Any questions on these 3? How are we looking so far in the quiz? Good? So? Maybe missed a little piece here or there? So? Okay. Is it making sense right now as we are going through it though? Katie, is it making sense? Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then number 6, if x squared minus ax minus b factors as this, how does x squared plus ax minus b factor? All right. I think that's supposed to be let's see here. X squared minus ax minus b. I think this one's gonna be a bonus. That factors as x minus c times x plus d. How would x squared plus ax minus b factor? Well, let's see here. Let's see how this worked. When I foiled this, it should be x squared plus xd minus xc minus cd. This one's a little confusing. The only thing that changes is the sign. So it should be Huh. That's a very weird question. Yeah, that's going to be bonus. I'm not going to go over that one. That one's weird. Okay. You all see me again? Okay. All right, we're going to get into the new lesson. I'm going to have those quizzes graded for you. And then, Katie, did you grade 10.2? Your homework? I didn't see that you had marked it off on Google Classroom.
I thought I did, but
You didn't find the right section. Did you finish that?
yes,
Finish that section? Okay.
I
All right. And then, so there's a place on Google Classroom for you to grade that. All right. And then let me know how many you missed. All right, let's move to lesson 3. We're going to take 2 days to go over this one just because it's, I mean, it's newer material. We're still factoring, but we're going to be factoring where we have a coefficient out in the front of that first term. So let me pull this up. All right, here we go. So this is 10.3. And when I do start to do the examples, I'd love for y'all to do them with me as well too on your own piece of paper, just so that you're following along. If you can keep going ahead, that's great as well too. All right. Y'all remember our little, let's see here. Let me get my pen out. Okay. So let's find what would go inside of here. So 2x squared plus 5x minus 12. Remember, the opposite of factoring is distributing or foiling. Distributing and foiling, those are just two different things. Foiling would be something we can do when we've got two binomials, which is what we have right here. All right, we've got 2x minus 3 times x plus something. Okay, this is a binomial, so therefore when we FOIL it, we should get this trinomial, correct? All right, 2x minus 3 times x plus 1. And I already showed you the answer there. Well, how did you find that? How did you find what should go in the missing blank? Well, you almost have to start doing it a little bit in your head. So, okay, 2x times x, well, that's 2x squared. Okay, there's the 2x squared. 2x times something, I don't know yet, but then I've got my next ones, negative 3 times x. Well, again, these are going to take a little bit more thought. I need to know, what do I need to, so I've got negative 3x, and I've got to add that to, okay, let's see, what was the last one we did was 2x times something, and that has to equal a positive 5x. Okay, whoa. Slow down, here we go. Start over. 2x times x, that was my first one. 2x times x, that's 2x squared. So we're checking these. We're using the FOIL method. And then my outside terms, 2x times, well, I'm missing this number right here, right? I don't know what that is, okay? So let's skip that. But then I've got negative 3 times x, negative 3x, and then I've got plus negative 3 times my last term. Well, so there's two ways I could go about this. Here's one way. I've got to know, okay, well, my final outcome is a positive 5x here in the middle. Remember when we would FOIL something like this, right? X times x is x squared. X times 4x, that's plus 4x, and then my inside terms plus 2x plus 8. That's the same thing that we're doing right here. We're trying to add our like terms in the middle to get a positive 5x. So therefore, 1, what do we need to multiply this 2x by in order to get negative 3x plus this whole term to get 5x? The only thing we're having to do different, other than right up here, because here are my like terms right here, 4x plus 2x. I can easily add those together. But now, notice this first term right here. I've got a coefficient of 2 out in front of it now. So we don't just have a nice little 2 and 4 right there. The other thing is, remember in FOIL, we have to multiply our last terms. So now my last terms multiplied together have to be negative 12. So negative 3, and it tells me it's going to be a positive number. So negative 3 times what number will give me a negative 12? Well, that's easy. What should it be? 4. Negative 3 times 4 will give me a negative 12. And that's a positive 4. Well, let's check, okay? Let me erase all this. Okay. So now let's check it. Let's FOIL this. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times positive 4, well, that's 8x. Negative 3 times x, that's minus 3x. And negative 3 plus 4, or excuse me, negative 3 times a positive 4 is negative 12. Well, 8x minus 3x is my 5x. Let's do this next one. X plus 5 times what plus 2? What should go in this blank? Well, look to see what it has to equal. When I do my first terms, I'm FOILing. What do I have to multiply x by in order to get 3x squared? This one's a little bit easier. What do I have to multiply x by? 3x. 3x times x is 3x squared. And then if I were to continue to FOIL, x times 2 is 2x. Now this is, my inside terms are 5 times 3x, which is 15x. So 2x plus 15x is 17x. All right, here's the last one. Now we're given the trinomial, which is what we're going to be having in our lesson. We're going to be given the trinomial, and then I have to factor the whole thing. So they went ahead and broke up the 6x squared. 2x and 3x. So 2x times 3x, that's 6x squared, which is what they have right here. 2x times a positive 4, so this is my inside terms, that's 8x, plus my inside terms. I need to be able to, there should be a number right here. When I multiply by 3x, add that to 8x to get negative 7x. Well, I don't know what that is, so let's just leave that blank right there. All right, so those are my inside terms, and then my last terms. Some number times 4, that will get me negative 20. Well, what's that number going to be?
Negative 5.
It's got to be a negative 5. And then I can go back and check my middle terms here. Well, these were multiplying my outside terms, 2x and 4. Now my inside terms, negative 5 times 3x, that's negative 15x. 8x minus 15x, there's my negative 7x right there. So easiest method here is going to be finding the last terms, but let's do a couple more. What's going to go in the blank here?
7x.
You got it. Good. 7x. All right. Katie, try to figure out this one right here. What should the coefficient be? You're going to have to come over here and FOIL that, though. So 4x times 2x, your first terms, that's 8x squared. Then you got to do your outside terms. 4x times positive 5, that's 20x. But then you've got your inside terms as well too. Negative 1 times 2x, that's negative 2x. So what should your coefficient be?
Positive 18.
There you go. Positive 18. Good. All right. Get this back over here. So how do we factor something that looks like ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is a coefficient, b is a coefficient, and then c is your constant number? So 3x minus 2 times x plus 5. How do we factor that? Well, again, let's use the FOIL method. Distribute that. 3x times x, 3x squared plus 15x minus 2x minus 10. I can simplify that down to 3x squared plus 13x minus 10. So I'm just going that, doing the opposite way, okay? So here we go. Check out this number right here. So this is what you're going to be seeing on homework and stuff. 3x squared plus 13x minus 10. And they're going to say factor that. Okay, factor this trinomial. And you're going to have to get it to look like what we started out with up here. 2 binomials. Again, here's the difference on these problems right here. Normally, what we want to do is we want to get this first term right here with a coefficient of 1. Right now it's a coefficient of 3. And in the last lesson, we were able to, oh, well, I can factor out that 3, so I can divide this term by 3. I can divide the, no, I can't factor the coefficient now. So I'm stuck with it. I have to factor with the coefficient still in there. How do we do that? Okay. This is your first term, correct? These are going to be your first terms. When you factor it, when you get 2 binomials, okay, this right here, the first term in your trinomial is going to be the first terms in FOIL. It's going to be your F, okay? All right. This last term in your trinomial, so again, this would be the original problem. The last number right here, this is your last terms. So that would be your -2 and your +5. You with me so far? So in your final answer, this will be your first terms, okay? 3x and x. 3x times x is 3x squared. -2 times 5 is -10. Okay, those are the easier ones. And then this guy here in the middle, this is the sum of the middle terms. This may be where it gets a little tricky, all right? The ones in the middle here. So here we go. Let's do an example. 3x squared plus 7x plus 2. Setting it up the same exact way, all right? Get your parentheses, all right? Now, normally, we just have x times x, right? But remember, when we do the opposite, when we FOIL and when we want to get it back to the original problem, x times x is just going to be x squared. But remember, these first, this term right here, that's going to be my first terms in the FOIL method. So therefore, I now have to make one of these a 3x. So let's make this first one a 3x. All right. So 3x times x. Now that's my 3x squared, right? Okay. All right. Now, let's see here. I still take my last term here, which is +2, and I'm going to list my factors of 2. Well, that's just 1 and 2, right? Okay. Here's where you have to start thinking now. There are 2 ways that I could put my factors of 2 in there. I could put 1 there and 2 there, or I could put 2 there and 1 here. Which one am I going to do? Which way am I going to do it? Well, first off, okay, what are my signs going to be? Well, they're going to be positive and positive, which I know that because I need to be able to multiply my last terms to get a positive 2, and this middle term right here, that's going to be a positive 7x. So everything's going to be positive right now. How do I know which set of factors to use? It's going to be 3x plus 1 times x plus 2, or 3x plus 2 times x plus 1. Here's how you have to check it. All right. We're good on the first term and the last term, right? 3x times x. So you have to FOIL it to check it in your mind. 3x times x, that's 3x squared. All right, here we go. 3x, do your outside terms now. 3x times positive 2 is what? 6x. Inside terms, positive 1 times x, that's 1x. Is 6x plus 1x 7x? Yes, it is. This is your answer. Let's go down here and let's see why is this one not our answer? Well, okay, 3x times x, that's our 3x squared. We've already got that settled. 3x times a positive 1, that's my outside terms when I FOIL. So 3x times 1 is 3x. And then do your inside terms, 2 times x, which is positive 2x. 3x plus 2x is only 5x, which is not my inside term of 7x up there. Therefore, this way will not work. My final answer would be 3x plus 1 times x plus 2. So, okay, what changed? Well, my first two terms changed because now I'm having to compensate for a 3x squared instead of just an x squared. So I have to tag on a coefficient to one of them, which is going to change up how I get to that middle term there. My last two numbers, 1 and 2, I'm still listing out the factors of my last number, my trinomial. That's not changing. I'm still finding the factors of it, okay? What times 2? But what I do have to find out, though, is, okay, how is this 3x here at the front? How is that going to affect that middle term? Let's do another one, okay? Let's see here. Okay. If these steps help you, great. I'm actually recording this lesson, so if you want to go back and look at these steps, that's fine as well too. All right, so find factors of a times c whose sum is b. Rewrite the middle term as a sum of terms with these factors as their coefficients. Okay, let's see here. I'll let these stay so that if you want to pause the screen and come back to them, that's fine. So here we go. Let's do another example. 2x squared minus 19x plus 24. Okay. All right. Well, there's a couple different ways that you can do it, okay? I just showed you one way to do it. All right. Let me try to think. Let me see. Okay. So the second way to do it is this way. Multiply this number and this number together, okay? This is your A value. This is your C value. Multiply those two numbers together. 2 times 24. That's 48, right? What's your B value? Negative 19. Remember, we're going off of ax squared plus bx plus c. This is your just general formula up there, okay? Multiply 2 times 24, and I get 48, and negative 19, okay. Now, list your factors of this number now, instead of just your 24. So go ahead, list your factors of 48. So 1 and 48, 2 and 24, 3 and 16, 4 and 12, and 6 and 8. All right. Now, look at these factors and see which ones added or subtracted together will get you negative 19. Which set of factors will get you a negative 19 somewhere?
3 and 16.
3 and 16. Yes. If they're both negative, negative 3 minus 16, that will get me negative 19. Well, is negative 3 times negative 16, will that get me a positive 48? Yes, it will. Okay, so here we go. Find the factors of 48 whose sum is negative 19. We did that. Negative 3 and negative 16x, correct? All right, so all we've done is we've just divided this up. We've taken that negative 19x and we have broken it up. Can I do that? Well, sure. 2x squared minus 3x minus 16x plus 24. That is the same exact thing as my original problem. I've just broken them up. And what have I done? I've broken them up into factors. All right, so here we go. I've got 2x squared minus 3x minus 16x plus 24. Okay, what can I do now? Well, I can break these up even. 2x squared minus 3x plus negative 16x and plus 24, okay? So this is a different way to solve it, all right? I'm showing you two different ways. All right. What is common in these two numbers? Isn't x common between both of these terms? So if I have a common factor, can I factor that number or coefficient out or variable out? Well, sure. If x is the same in both of these terms, I can divide both terms by x, pull that x out, and what am I left with? I'm left with 2x inside. Here I'm left with a negative 3 inside. Plus, all right, what is common in both of these terms? A negative 8 is common in both of these terms, or you could have just done a positive 8. That's fine too. Negative 16x divided by negative 8 is 2x. 24 divided by negative 8 is a negative 3. And what did you pull out? What did you factor out? I factored out a negative 8. Notice now, what do you have in common? So this is one term right here, x times 2x minus 3 minus 8 times 2x minus 3. I have a common factor now of 2x minus 3, and I can now factor out 2x minus 3 from both terms. And then what am I left with? So what did I just do? How did I just get that answer right there? What is the same in both of these terms? I'm treating 2x minus 3 as one whole term, right? So therefore, I want to divide both sides, both terms, by 2x minus 3. 2x minus 3 cancels out. I'm left with x. 2x minus 3 cancels out. I'm left with minus 8. 2x minus 3 times x minus 8, which is what they got right here. So I just factored out what was common between these two terms. Whew. Okay. So I've shown you two ways of how to factor these. If you do it this way, how example 2 is, how we just did it, the steps on this PowerPoint that I just showed you are going to be the steps that you're going to follow. Let's do this problem my way. Okay, let me pull up, or excuse me, the other way that I showed you. So I'll show you one more thing, okay? We're gonna take this chapter a little, or this lesson a little bit slower. All right, so here's my, can y'all see my whiteboard?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here we go. 2x squared minus 19x plus 24, okay? Here we go. Let's factor this. 2x squared minus 19x plus 24. Well, my first terms are going to be, normally it's x squared or x and x, but now I need a 2x in there because I have to compensate for that first term. So 2x times x. All right, 24. List my factors. 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. All right, well, okay, this one's going to be a little bit trickier because on the previous problem, all we had was 2 factors to deal with. Now we've got 4 different sets of factors. How do I compensate for that? Well, here's where you need to now multiply your first and your last terms. 2 times 24, that's 48. Okay. Now let's factor terms of 48 instead, which we just did. 3 and 16, 4 and 12, 6 and 8. There we go. So now, which ones are we going to do?
3 and 16.
Let's see, 3 and 16. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'm a ding dong. We're still using these ones. I'm sorry. Okay. This is where it's going to get a little bit trickier, where you have to really do some thinking now, okay? Because any one of these sets of numbers so if I put 4 and 6 in there, or if I put 3 and 8 in there, if I put 2 and 12 in there, any of these, any one of these sets that I put in there, when I multiply my last numbers, I'll always get 24 right. And so now the key is, okay, well, what's going to get me a negative 19 though? My outside and my inside terms. Now I have to just I really just have to do guess and check on this method right here. And it'll work. It will work. So 2x times 6, that's 12x. 4 times x, that's 4x. 12 and 4x. No, that won't give me a 19x. Okay, what about 2x times 8x? That's 16x. So all I'm doing is I'm multiplying my outside terms and my inside terms. So 16x and 3x. Okay, what will get me the 16x and the 3x? 16x and 3x will give me a negative 19. How, if their signs are what? They're both negative. And 2x times negative 8x. Okay, so let's check this one. Let's check it to make sure that it works out. 2x times x, that's 2x squared. 2x times negative 8x, that's negative 16x. Negative 3x plus 24. There we go. Okay, this method though, we kind of got lucky that we got it, that we found it that soon. Because guess what else happens? If you go through and you can't find it, then what you have to do is, okay, well, I put 4 over here. Now I got to put 6 over here. What about now? Because does that change my factors now? 2x times x, 2x squared, 2x times 4, that makes it an 8x and a 6x now. That was different than the 12x and 4x, okay? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to, okay, for your assignment today, I just want you to do example 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? I want you, the method that they're going to go through is the second method I showed you, okay? Not this one. All right? I want you to go through these examples. I want you to work it with the book on a piece of paper, okay? So it's just 4 problems, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Work it on a piece of paper with them. But the key here is you're going to be disciplined. We're going to go over more examples tomorrow, okay? We're going to go over these tomorrow as well too. And then we're going to get into exercises as well too, because this is a little bit harder of problems to factor. Would y'all agree with me? Yeah, they do take a little bit more thought. And I'm going to do a little bit more thought too to see which way that I want y'all to really focus in on doing, because I think we may just stick with the way that the book is doing it. I think that would be an easier method to grasp because it does go step by step by step instead of having to do so much guessing and checking. This way works. The way that I just showed you, it works for sure. But these problems will just take a little bit longer overall. So that's your assignment. See you guys later. See you tomorrow morning.